Alright, welcome back to the channel, guys. Santa here, and today we're going to be taking a look at some tips and tricks on how to improve at Fortnite and Fortnite Mobile in general. So if you guys are excited for this video, don't forget to smack the like button, guys, and you want to support my content, don't forget you guys can definitely use my supporter credit code Santa in the item shop. And if you guys want to shout out on the channel, don't forget that you can screenshot your purchase and tweet at me on Twitter. My Twitter is Santa, and if you guys tweet at me, I do shout you out. So for today, these are the people using my code. You guys are the best, and like I said, you guys can get a shout out as well. It's that easy. Just tweet at me buying something in the item shop with my supporter creator code, and you're good to go. And I really do appreciate everybody doing that. Without further ado, guys, let's get right into it. When we're looking at Fortnite in general and Fortnite Mobile, you definitely want to have a customizable HUD. If you're on PC, you know, having custom keybinds is huge. You don't want to use the default keybinds. If you're on a controller, you're not going to use Combat Pro if you want to get really good at building, you know what I mean? So like I don't really have good tips and tricks for controller or PC, but like on mobile, the equivalent of doing that is literally going into your HUD and just customizing it, man. And what I would highly recommend is starting off with like a 4-finger claw HUD. If you're already using 4 fingers and want to challenge yourself and you're like really good and you thought that you've like hit a boundary, you can definitely switch over to 6 fingers, maybe even 5 fingers, so you can try out crosshair editing. But if you're playing 4 fingers, guys, I'd highly recommend, you know, separating your shoot and fire button, putting them up in the right or left side of the screen, and wherever your fire button is, I would recommend that's where you're gonna have your inventory bar where you can move between weapons, because where my aim button is, personally, I like to have my jump button, my crouch button, and all that other stuff. So that's just me. I mean, it might be different for you guys. You might like having your inventory with your aim button stuff, but whatever you can do to alleviate your thumbs from doing anything else other than moving around the screen is definitely going to be huge. And that's where, if you're using 4-finger claw, I would highly recommend using crosshair editing, which, if you guys didn't know, if you swipe up, there are extra buttons in your HUD layout tool. There is a duplicated version of the edit tool, and basically what that one does is when you make an edit with the regular edit tool, it pops up so that way you can press it and you can use your thumb to move around the screen like you normally would have done when you're like looking around, so that way you don't have to actually lift it and physically move it and like stop walking around. It makes it a lot easier, and that's how you set it up. I personally don't use crosshair editing, but I do have it set up if I wanted to use the fire button. If there's a weird situation where I have to make an edit and I can't really move my hands or something, I will do that. For the most part, guys, I like to use touch editing, obviously, because I do use 6-finger claw and I have my index finger free on my right hand to kind of move around, and I've just kind of developed muscle memory in order to make those edits regardless. But like I said, 4-finger claw, definitely use crosshair editing. Make sure you're separating your aim and fire button. Some people put them together, but like I said, another huge thing you can do is literally looking up your device. If you're playing on an iPhone 6s, see if somebody made a claw video on that, like if they're playing 4-finger claw, or let's say there's a really good builder on the iPhone 8 Plus, maybe they use 6-finger claw. You never know, man, because I've actually been able to do 6-finger claw on the iPhone XS, and I'll probably make a video in the future again doing that. It is a little cramped, but it does work, and you guys can do it. It just takes practice. You know, if you're playing on 30 FPS or 60 FPS, whatever you're playing on, that's another thing. You know, your settings is going to be huge, and I'm going to go ahead and move on to that. So basically, guys, what I do is on my iPad Pro 2018, I don't even max it out. I use medium graphic settings with 60 3D resolution, so it doesn't even look like at its best. I could rock high graphics with like 100 3D res with 60 FPS, and it would look insane, but I'm not trying to overrun my device. You know, in some situations in the end game, you might have a lot of people, depending if you're playing competitively or if there's a lot going on. You don't want your game to crash, and a lot of people always complain about like, oh, my game's crashing, how can I fix that, like why does it lag? And I would just highly recommend just lowering your graphic settings. I know Ducky, one time he used like low graphic settings and 60 3D resolution, and it looked totally fine. So if you guys want to do that, I would highly recommend it. I mean, it's not going to hurt you, it's not going to look its best, but it definitely will perform a lot better because there's less that it's going to have to process and all that stuff, less graphics you have to worry about, and I mean, it might even be cleaner depending on the device you're on. So I would definitely highly recommend checking that out if you guys have not customized your graphics settings. Another huge thing that you guys have to work on is your sensitivity. Finding the perfect sensitivity, guys, can be really good for your aim. For me personally, on my iPad Pro 2018, when I use my thumb from the middle of the screen to the right of the screen to the left of the screen at a consistent rate of speed, I do a full 360 or like a little bit over a 360, and for me, I feel like that's like a pretty average sensitivity to control. If you guys like a lower sensitivity, maybe make it so it only does a 180. Like, I would highly recommend setting it up so it's not like you don't know what you're going to do if you like swipe fully. Like, you're going to be like, okay, if I do 2 swipes, it's going to be a full 360. If I do 1, it's going to be a 180. If you like a high sensitivity, you can make yourself do a full 720 with 1 swipe consistently to the right or left, so that way you know how to like control it over time. And for me, like I said, I like doing a full 360, and I feel like it's pretty average. You know, it helps me to aim a lot better, and it's kind of like the same thing with my sniping sensitivity and all that stuff. So if you guys want to check that out, definitely do. And then also make sure you're rocking that aim assist, because that will definitely help you track your targets a lot better. I've made a couple videos where I turn aim assist off, and it's not the worst thing in the world. Like, maybe if you want to, you. You can turn it off for a couple games just to work on your own personal aim, and then you can turn it on and it kind of fixes the errors of where you're like missing and all that good stuff, guys. So I highly recommend doing that. And then finally, guys, make sure you learn how to build in creative. Once you customize your HUD, get the right sensitivity, hop in creative and just get comfortable, because it's going to take you a while to get used to like a new HUD. For me, switching over to 6 fingers, the first thing I did from 4 to 6 fingers, I went in creative and I built for like 10 hours straight. Like I literally spent 2 days, probably 2 5-hour sessions just building, trying to figure out how I was going to edit and just like working on my shooting. And then right after that, once I got comfortable and I was like, okay, I think I can do a little bit better. I can defend myself. I can do some 90s. I can get high ground. Once you do that, then that's where you're going to go into some games. You're going to hot drop and you're going to go into locations like Tilted Towers, Pleasant Park, Salty Springs, the hot drop locations in general that are like highlighted where everybody's going to go. So that way you can get yourself into gunfights, because most of the time, if you're just hiding around the map and you're going for the win, I would highly recommend not going for the win. Just have fun, go for fights, and even if you have like 2 HP, maybe rush somebody and just try to get into a crazy situation where you have to like clutch out an edit play or just outsmart the enemy in a way, because it will make you a better player. And it's just going to take practice. You're definitely going to get frustrated, you know, when you're missing your fire button, you're missing your aim button, or let's say you're building and you misclick so you don't have like the right build out. It's just going to take time and practice, and if you guys put enough time into it, you could definitely become a god, guys. I guarantee it. I mean, right now, if you guys are playing 2 fingers, switch over to 4. If you're playing 4, maybe challenge yourself, like I said, get to 6 fingers. I mean, there could be a point where I'm like, you know what, I want to play a 7 fingers, and then it wouldn't really be that insane for me to transition over, because I know the steps to take. Go in creative, set up a pretty comfortable claw, see what other people are doing with 7 fingers on my device. I mean, if they're on an iPhone, it might work to, you know, switch over to iPad, but there might be an iPad player out there playing 9 fingers, and you know what, I might play 9 finger claw, see what he's got going on, and try to figure out if it's actually going to be worth it or not. And then get in creative, learn how to build, figure out how I'm going to control it, and then start hot dropping, getting into fights. And once you do that, you just kind of like get muscle memory, and you figure out how to like actually, you know, take it apart. And then the other thing that's really huge that I like to do, guys, is just watching really good players play the game. For example, Nick A30, I've been watching him since the start of my Fortnite career. Even before I knew what Fortnite was, I was watching him, and I thought he was crazy. I learned a lot from just seeing how he plays, how he builds, his edits, and everything. Like that's where it all started. And then we had competitive Fortnite. You know, we had like Tfue, the Liquid guys, Ghost Aiden on controller. He's a god. Like if you just watch all sorts of different types of players, like controller players, PC players, maybe even Switch players, you might learn something, guys. And you could even watch players that don't really know much about the game. Like let's say maybe your brother or your cousin or something, they just like to play casually. They might be really good in combat, and you might learn something from how they play that you could put into your own play style, or like a location they like to drop that you might want to try out. You know, a lot of people only like to drop in one certain location, but for me personally, I like to like explore the map, try different places. I like to go to Shifty, Tilted a game, Pleasant a game, maybe the house is near Haunted, and then I might go to like Happy Hamlet a couple games, maybe Lucky Landing. And even though there might be not a lot of people going there, it's kind of fun to just give it a try, you know, switching it up, seeing what people do. Especially the pros, they like to just like land in random locations, or sometimes hot drop into Salty. But I mean, that's basically it I have for you guys. You just have to overall practice, put all these steps together, and you can become a lot better on Fortnite Mobile. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I know it's kind of short, it was quick, it was right to the point, and that's what I know that you guys wanted to see, some tips and tricks from SSN Santa himself. I got you guys. I'm actually going to be in LA at this time from the 14th to the 17th, so hopefully you guys are excited for that. I'm going to be vlogging, obviously. I'm going to hopefully be meeting my biggest inspiration, Nick A30, and tons of other people as well. I'm gonna have a really great time, guys. So thank you so much for all the support, because without you guys, I would not be able to do that at all. Like I wouldn't have the money. There wouldn't be any reason for me to go regardless. You know what I mean? I wouldn't even care. I'd be like, what's Fortnite, dude? Like if I wasn't streaming Fortnite right now, I probably wouldn't be playing as seriously, and I would be like, I'm not gonna go to the block party. But you gotta go, man. So I'm gonna definitely have a lot of fun. Thank you guys again, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.